held my mic correctly, and all of a sudden, boom. Um, Ian, thank you, buddy. Okay, I want you to know that you did okay. Thank you very much. Blessings. Appreciate you guys. Um, Good morning. And I hope you had as happy a Thanksgiving as I did. Vicki and I were down at the Potomac River, and her brother-in-law's and my brother-in-law's and sister-in-law's house, and we had a whole group come up with young children on Thursday, and lots of great energy. And we then on Friday and part of Saturday worked on the hardest puzzle in the world. I sat there for 8 hours working on a puzzle. Can you believe that? I didn't even get up. Well, I did get up to eat, but anyway. But we had a great Thanksgiving, so I hope you did too. But more importantly this morning, my opportunity is to introduce somebody that for Vicki and I needs no introduction, and for much of Unity needs no introduction. Vicki and I met, I call her Patricia, Reverend Patricia, and her husband Don, who are the co-ministers at Unity of Charlottesville, right down the street here, about, it was 11 years ago. And we went to our first conference, Eastern Region Conference, and we just kind of gotten into town. And Don and Patricia came, sought us out, said, come have lunch with us, talk with us, and let us know how much we were welcomed into the community of the Eastern Region and our sub-region. And so a couple times a year, we all get together and have a great time, and we see Don and Patricia a little more often than that, and we're blessed. You can read all about her. Now, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, I want to, if you have plans already, change them. Okay? It's going to be that good. Living into your greatness. 3 keys to accelerating your results. And Patricia has been studying directly under Mary Manor Marcy, who is a great prosperity teacher throughout the movement, and will be sharing some of those ideas with you, but some of her own ideas also, because she has great experience. 14 years, right? 17 years, wow, in ministry. And so maybe I'll catch up with you eventually. But anyway, she's just a great person, more importantly. She's well educated. She has a master's in social work, a master's in theater, a master's in, I'm going to say drama, might be a little different than that. And she also is a graduate of Unity Institute and Seminary. So education is a way of life for her, but she uses that now to help each and every person transform their lives. And she's been a transformation for Vicki and I. She is filled with wisdom, with love, as you'll see in a few minutes, enthusiasm. You are in for a treat. I'd never heard her speak before until today. And so you are in for a big treat. Listen carefully, but more importantly, after that, come to the workshop at 1 o'clock. For those who are staying for the workshop, we have lunch available. And so come downstairs and have lunch and go to the workshop, okay? It'll start at 1 o'clock, back up here. So thank you. And Patricia, now I'll get back to introducing you, okay? I just want to welcome you to Unity of Richmond. The last time she tried to come, we had a snowstorm, and so that didn't work. But this time, it's beautiful weather, thank you, God, and you're ready for a beautiful person. Thank you, Patricia. Come on.
Thank you so much, dear. Love you. Ah. Well, it is a great privilege to be here in your beautiful, beautiful spiritual home. And I thank you both. And I thank you, Richard, first of all, for being the amazing minister that you are, a minister of love and compassion and vision. I don't know how much you know, but in the Unity movement, Richard Bunch is known as a visionary and many other things because he's so excellent in so many ways. But when people in the Unity movement want to know what's coming down the road, they go and talk to Richard. And he's got some good ideas. And you with Vicki, as all of you know, and all of you together, have made this community into the most beautiful place. First of all, physically beautiful. And We drove by last night and saw the lights all strung all over the outside. It's like a jewel on this corner. It's just beautiful. And you all did that together under their leadership and with their inspiration and their vision as well, and made, even more importantly than the physical beauty, is the spiritual beauty that you all come together to manifest as Unity of Richmond. You've done an incredible work, you, and I am so grateful to be here. It's wonderful to be in your home. Well, I also love the season of light. The season of light that we're in right now. Because in the season of light, I feel that we're poised between just delicious opposites. I mean, in the night, we are surrounded by a blanket of velvet blackness sprinkled with stars. And then during our days, we have the precious shortened days of brilliant sunlight like today that just fills us in a new way. And this season of light, I really feel for me, starts with Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is placed in a beautiful way, I think, on our calendar. And I don't know if you've had this experience this year, but I sure have. More people than ever before have shared with me how grateful they are about so many things. I mean, I've seen it online. I've gotten cards from people. I've seen it in our sanctuary and our community at Unity of Charlottesville. People just streamed up and said, you know, and I want to tell you how much I'm grateful for blah, 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 blah. You know, and they just go through their list. It's just been fabulous. And then I got such a kick out of it driving here yesterday on the highway. I'm sure many of you have seen this. There is a really, really big sign that says that Virginia is thankful for safe drivers. But even Virginia is expressing their gratitude. I thought, wow, that's a great sign. And you know what it is? To me, it's a sign about the evolution of our consciousness in this world. Because, as you well know, you truth seekers, that giving gratitude raises the vibration of ourselves, our community, and our world. So when you see all of these people, including Virginia itself, giving gratitude, I mean, it says a lot. It says that the vibration is lifting up, and that gives me great hope and great gratitude for that. And so today, what I wanted to try a little bit was to ask you, you know, because Thanksgiving isn't over. I mean, the feast is, and good thing for our waistlines, but giving thanks is a daily process. And so I would like to invite you to just think for a moment about one thing that you are grateful for. Could be anything whatsoever. You have something? Okay. And in a moment, I will ask you to turn to somebody near you and just share briefly, 30 seconds each, and then I'll tell you to come back at 1 minute. So go ahead and share what it is you're grateful for today with someone near you. Okay, take a moment to finish that up and come on back. Well, did you feel the difference in here? There was a difference. There was laughter, there was sharing. And some of you, you know in Unity that you don't have to do what you don't want to do if you don't want to do it. And that's great with me, too. And some of you are feeling that, I'm sure. Did you feel the change in the energy? I know the energy was lovely in here to begin with, but there was something a little bit sparkly going on there. That made a difference. And don't we all wish to make a difference in our lives in whatever way we can do that, in the unique and beautiful ways that each and every one can do that? We want not to end up on our deathbed with a regret that we hadn't lived fully, or perhaps we lived too safe a life. That's why today we are discussing living into our fullest potential as expressions of the divine. And why this matters to you is once you discover and you commit to do your own divine purpose full out, then you can live a life that you truly love living, knowing you are making a difference in this world. And you know, Jesus had a beautiful teaching about this. He said, "You are the light of the world. You are. And a city sitting on a hill cannot be hid. Neither does anyone put a light underneath a bushel, but instead they put it on a table so that it can give light to the entire room. So let your light so shine, so that as people see your great works, they will give glory to God in heaven." Where is heaven? Within, yes. So Jesus called us to bring forth our unique gifts, the light that we are, in order to make a difference in the world. And you know, this reminds me of a story about a circus owner. And this circus owner was walking down a street, and he noticed a big table and a lot of people around it, and kind of like watching a show. So he went over to see what was going on. And he saw that there was a pot overturned, and on top of the pot, there was a duck doing a tap dance. And he thought, wow, this would be great in my circus. I don't have anything like this. This is amazing. So he went and he talked to the owner of the duck, and he said, you know, he wanted to purchase it. And so after much haggling, he finally bought the duck and the pot for $10,000. He thought, this is a great investment. A week later, he comes back to see that owner, and he says, that duck is a ripoff. I put him on the pot, and I got this really big audience to see it, and he didn't tap one step. He didn't dance at all. And the owner said, well, did you remember to light a fire under the pot? Well, one woman who really allowed her fire, her light, to come out from under the pot or under a bushel was Mother Teresa. And she had a way of bringing forth her gifts in the world. And that highlights our theme today, something that she said. She said, I am a little pencil in the hand of a writing God who is writing a love letter to the world. She believed that everything that she was doing was coming from God's power working through her. And we in Unity might say it this way: it is not I, but the Christ within that does the work. And Mother Teresa's statement brings up the question, however, who or what is God that we are a pencil in its hand? Now, even though this phrase, in God's hand, implies that God has human characteristics, I invite you to think of this phrase in a poetic way, to talk about the creative power that is breathing you. In Unity, you know that we teach that God is not a man. God is not a woman. God is spirit. And God is not far from us. It is within us and all around us. And that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And we are the expression of spirit in this world, and we are one with God. And as the great Unity writer Emily Cady said in her book, Lessons in Truth, the urge to express our true nature, our divine purpose, our desire of what we wish to do in this world, as she said it, is God tapping at our heart. I just love that. And when we say yes to that call, to that desire in our heart, that urge that probably will not be denied, that's when we become a pencil in the hand of God. And when we are expressing our divine purpose, we notice by doing our passion, we become in alignment with the highest expression of God in the world through our nature. There are very many inspiring examples of people listening to their call and then doing their divine passion. People like Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, Jane Goodall, Henry David Thoreau, and many others. And Mother Teresa lived her passion so fully that I would like to use her example as a template for all of us in bringing our dreams into manifestation. So Mother Teresa knew very clearly that she had a calling. Her calling was to become a nun and to serve people in that way. And this calling could not be denied. How many here feel that you know your life's purpose? You have a pretty good idea of your life's purpose. That's pretty good. That's about half of you. Now, for the rest of you, if you aren't clear and you're still formulating, don't worry about that, because very often our passion, our life's work is very close to our awareness. It's just a matter of tuning it up a little bit to see it clearly. When Mother Teresa was a cloistered nun in India, teaching in private school for young women, she really enjoyed the difference that she was making with the students. But then she received her next inner call. This reminds us that even when we are doing our purpose, as Mother Teresa was very clearly, there is an ever upward spiral of spiritual development and spiritual unfoldment that is pulling us higher. It is life itself moving through us, wanting an ever richer, fuller expression of itself through you. And that's what happened to Mother Teresa. She was in this cloistered life, and she would look out the windows of the cloister, and she would see people on the streets of Calcutta starving to death and dying on the street. And being a cloistered nun, what that means is that she could not go out of that monastery. That she was not allowed. That was the vows that they took. So she didn't know what she could do, but she knew that she had to do something. She had to help those people. She could not allow that to go on right outside her window. And isn't that the way it is with our desire too? Sometimes we don't know how we're going to manifest what it is that we've been called to do. Richard and Vicki coming to Unity of Richmond, being called here. How are you going to do it? Oh, I don't know yet. I'm sure Spirit will let us know as we go along. And that's how we all can think of it. Don't think so much about the how. Think about what it is that you want to accomplish. Stay focused on that. The how will start to manifest. That's what happened for Mother Teresa as well. She did something that I just really appreciate. She never gave up. She never gave up her dream of making a difference in the life of the poor people of Calcutta. And she had many setbacks from the church hierarchy, but she continued to persevere with patience and persistence. And that's what we all must do when we are trying to carve out our dream: patience and persistence. And these two qualities will see us through. Finally, after many, many years, many attempts on her part, the Vatican finally gave her the right to renounce her vows as a cloistered nun. This is not done. I have to tell you that. It's for life. But they allowed her to renounce her vows, and then she created a new order. And the new order is called Missionaries of Charity. And the vow of these missionaries is to wholeheartedly give free service to the poorest of the poor. And look at their faces. They are so joyous for doing their life's work. We all have dreams in our hearts. And do you also believe that each and every person in this world has a unique and divine purpose? Do you? Yes, I see nods. Yes. Of course, our contributions may or may not be as huge as Mother Teresa, but that does not matter. If it is coming from the yearning of your heart, it is uniquely your call, and it is good. It is from God. It could very well be raising a child, maybe your own birth child, a foster child, maybe taking care of the children in youth ed here, or perhaps you're a teacher where you teach children. That is a beautiful call. It makes a huge difference, even if it's just one child. I had a friend, have a friend who I grew up near in Buffalo, New York, where I'm from. This woman's call was unmistakable. She was a connector of people. She brought everybody in that area together. She knew everybody. She would have parties of the block parties, and everybody get to know each other, and she would introduce each other and, match up people that needed help from each other. This woman does that easily and effortlessly, and that is who she is. She's a connector of people. Whatever it is your unique call. My own divine purpose guided me in writing my first book. It's called Accepting Death, Embracing Life, How Death Teaches Us to Live. And it is a marriage of psychology and spirituality set in my own personal experiences. And the purpose is to heal people's fear of death and dying, and also their grief and loss. And I have some copies outside that I'm willing to sign after the service. In my early years, I personally had many questions and fears about death and dying. When I was a sophomore in high school, I noticed that my girlfriends were more interested in if they were going to get a date for the high school dance, when I was dealing with a 3-year process of watching my beloved father die from cancer. And from that time when I was 15 years old, for 23 more years, I watched 7 of my family members die, usually from long-term illnesses, mostly cancer, and it happened about once every 3 years. Death and cancer, doctors and hospitals, surgeries and treatments were all the backdrop of my life for nearly a quarter of a century. And at times it was a nightmare of existence. And then what I had most feared came to pass. My mother, who had helped to take care of all of the family members who knew how to do it, what to expect, now she was dying of cancer, and I was the one left to take care of her. I didn't really know exactly what to expect in that process. We didn't talk about it in our family. There was a no-talk rule, you know. Even though death was going on all around, it wasn't talked about. So I wasn't quite sure how to take care of my mother, what to expect in her dying process. But I made a decision because what was most important to me was that she would be cared for to the best way possible, the way that she was able to care for all the other people. I thought she deserved that. And my deep desire was to know that I could be present during her whole process. So I said that to myself. I said, I am not going to be deterred by these circumstances. I'm going to look death square in the face. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to go numb. I'm not going to go into denial. I'm going to be present for her process as well as my own reactions. And I started a journal, which helped me to keep present. And my deepest desire was to be with her when she took her last breath. You know, sometimes we're allowed that, and sometimes we're not. But it was a great privilege to be there with her. And I knew that she was well cared for, and that she knew that she was loved. And I came to know more clearly through that whole process who I am and who each and every one of you are. Because we are far greater than anything that life can serve us. Anything, including death and dying. I know that about us. I learned that about myself. And that's a bit about what the book is about. You know, denial of death deprives us of life's true meaning. Acknowledging death makes greater life possible because it places our end point squarely in front of us. We are finite. And when we know this, we know that each moment and each day and each unrepeatable person that we come in contact with is precious and unrepeatable. And that informs our life. That informs how we live our lives. Through my direct experience, I realized that my mother, as an eternal soul, is still existing. Her physical body, which wasn't all of who she was, is the only thing that's gone. Her soul is still continuing on her soul's ongoing journey. And knowing, when we really know that we are eternal beings, what is it that we are afraid of? We're not going to be lost. We're not going to be dropped. We will go on and surrounded in the love and light of the Almighty, the peace. Anytime we're able to release a fear like the fear of death, more life energy is freed up and available to us to live a greater life. So stepping into our life's purpose, you see, is how we come to know who we truly are as the expression of God in the world. Our divine purpose is such an amazing thing. It is really our arena for how we are both deeply challenged, and it is also the place of the greatest joy that we can experience. It is truly a sacred process. And the Gospel of Thomas says it this way, and I don't know if you can turn on the air conditioning, but people are fanning themselves. They seem very warm in here, or turn down the air or something. They're sweating about all of this now. Thank you very much. So this Gospel of Thomas says it this way: if you bring forth what is within you, it will save you. If you do not bring it forth, what is within you will destroy you. So in the writing of my book, I found this quote to be really true. I found that the experience of bringing forth what was within me saved me. Now, of course, we're all saved. We know that in unity. We never were not saved. But Thomas is using this in a specific way, which I'll describe. But it brought parts of me to the surface that I never knew that I had. And sometimes I try to forget it. Oh my gosh, it is so hard to write a book because you got to keep writing it, you know. It's a long process. But every burning bowl ceremony, every, white stone where you get what's for your new year, it would pop up again. Write the book. And then I thought at one point, do I have a dream or does the dream have me? And I think it was a little of both. By the end, I found that it was the effort required to bring forth the dream that saved me. What I mean by that is it expanded my soul. So wherever you are in terms of discovering your dream or finding the next phase of your dream, I invite you to join me in this afternoon's workshop from 1 to 3, Living into Your Greatness. And in this experiential workshop, I will share some proven, reliable techniques to live into your greatness through your divine purpose. Let's bring your dream to its next level. You'll be supported and inspired and ready to take action and be willing to make a commitment to create a life that you would say, I really love living, and allowing your unique light to shine. And from George Bernard Shaw, talking about shining, he said, life is no brief candle to me. It is sort of a splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. Let's all let our brilliant light shine. Thank you. Thank you so much.